You're listening to the Resilient Author Podcast, the show that goes beyond the pages to explore the grit, courage, and resilience it takes to write and publish a book. I'm your host, Carrie Human, and each week I sit down with authors to uncover the stories behind their stories, the challenges they faced, the breakthroughs they experienced, and the wisdom they've gained along the way. Whether you're working on your first chapter or celebrating your launch, this is the place to find inspiration and practical takeaways for your own author journey. Let's dive in. Today, I'm excited to introduce you to Juan Battle. Juan grew up in New Jersey, where he faced years of hardship and struggle. Those experiences could have broke him, but instead, they became the foundation for his transformation. After moving to Florida, Juan found the space to heal, reconnect with his faith, and discover his true purpose. Out of that journey, he built Believe by Battle, a faith-based brand that spreads hope through books, clothing, and motivational tools. What I truly love about Juan's story is that it isn't just about turning his own pain into purpose, it's about helping others do the same. In this episode, Juan opens up about his book, How I Turned My Pain into Purpose. It's more than just his personal story. It's also a guide filled with self-reflective questions that invite readers to look at their own lives and find deeper meaning in their challenges. We talked about his transformation from incarceration to advocacy, the courage it takes to share your story, and how Believe by Battle is creating a real impact, including offering a hotline for anyone who simply needs someone to listen. This episode truly is a reminder that resilience is not about avoiding pain. It's about learning to use it as fuel for something greater. Since honesty and faith shine through this entire episode, I think you'll walk away feeling both inspired and encouraged to look at your own story in a new way. Here's my conversation with Juan Battle. What is your book about, and what do you want most readers to take away from it?
All right, so the book How I Turned My Pain into Purpose, man, is just about a journey of overcoming pain, Growing up in New Jersey, making mistakes that led to incarceration, facing setbacks that could have left me stuck forever, and realizing that the purpose of all my pain was to help others push through theirs. I want my readers to understand that it's not a book about glorifying what I've overcome. Instead, for them to push through their own pain. Every chapter is self-reflection questions so they can actually do the work. So you're not just reading about my story. You're able to define your purpose and do the work for yourself. It's about the process from pain to purpose. And I feel like it's a process to that. And as the book explains, it's 6 chapters. The first chapter being that moment that you realize something has to change. For me, it was the call I didn't expect, which was getting custody of my son. And then it's the mirror. We got to look at yourself and say, I'm the problem. And after that, there's the work, right? After you look in the mirror and you see those things that you needed to work on, you actually start doing it, Then you'll feel that shift. When things start to change, you start feeling that change that leads to your purpose. After that purpose, you'll be living that legacy. And the good thing about this book is that it's not just a one-time thing. Because if you ever fall into that moment where it's like, I need some motivation and guidance, you go right back to it and pick up wherever you need to. It's definitely dear to the heart.
That resonates. And I got to ask you, Juan, there are other people who've been in a similar situation who aren't able to turn that pain into purpose. How did the idea for the book actually come to you? How did you even start thinking about writing the book?
All right. So it came from just living in it, right? For years, I used to carry this shame of being rejected because of my background, being arrested, being incarcerated. And every time that I was denied these opportunities, I started realizing that God was putting me in a position to create my own opportunities. So writing a book, it came easy because I was in the music as a recording artist for a while, but I didn't really want to be famous. And I realized that, and then I started questioning, so for this long time, why was music a part of my life if it's not something that I wanted to do. And I understood now that it was merely because it helped me with writing. That's where I learned to write. So as soon as I thought about it all, I just got right to it. I didn't have a blueprint, just my thoughts and the keyboard, and I just learned as I went, honestly. So, like I said, I feel like it's something that was destined, definitely was something that was destined. And I just got right to it.
I definitely hear you on that. And with anything in life, you have a goal, but then there's sort of the challenges and the resistance that comes along the way. Was there a moment for you when you had this idea to write the book where it felt like it may not happen, like it wasn't going to get done? Did you ever have a moment like that? And if so, what got in the way?
Initially, as far as writing it, I didn't have any problem because, again, I've had that experience from the music. But there were moments where I questioned if I wanted to release it, mainly because my past mistakes, I didn't want it to overshadow my actual message. I didn't want people to think I wanted some sort of sympathy or trophy because I genuinely wrote it in hopes that it'll help people. So for a second, I wasn't going to release it. I absolutely wasn't. But what got me through is honestly just remembering my kids and understanding that my story could really change lives. And I think that's the biggest thing that got me through is really dialing in and understanding that, bro, you have to do it, because it can really change lives.
It's so true. Have you always been a reader? Are you someone who's always been into books? What was it about the format of a book that inspired you to actually want to write one?
Absolutely not. I'll be honest. I wasn't big on reading a lot of books. I was into music. So as far as writing, that's always been a part of me. The older I got, I started feeling a different passion, but writing has always been something that I love to do. It's times I wrote songs that I didn't even put out. I just enjoyed writing it. So I think the biggest thing I've got out of it is just writing process and being an artist first. That's the main thing. So like I say, reading wasn't something that I did. I didn't even expect to be writing a book, to be honest. I thought I would be on stage performing. So like I say, things happen. We might think life is going to be this way. Something happens and another switch goes off. And I think that's what happened. Switch just went off. And like I said, I'm writing.
That's inspiring. I would imagine for a lot of people, writing a book can scare a lot of people before they even start.
Absolutely. It definitely can. But like I said, no blueprint. I didn't have a blueprint. I just did it. I started writing my thoughts. I started writing my feelings. I wasn't worried about the English part of it all. I wasn't worried about how it sounded right then and there. The initial step was just getting everything written down. And then I feel like the more I got into it, that's when I started thinking about these things and doing a little bit of research of how it needs to be formatted. And that's when I got into the more technical things. The main thing is just getting it down and take it from there.
I really respect that process. I feel like when it comes to writing a book, people have this image in their mind that it has to look a certain way. But with you already being an artist, already being creative, I'm just curious, did you find that things flowed more when you would speak it, or did you write it more? Like, how did it come out of you? How did you get those parameters out the way so you could just create?
I get exactly what you're saying, right? And this is the thing, as an artist, some guys freestyle. They could just go in there and it just comes out. But for me, and this is what I feel helped me as far as writing the book, is the fact that I've always been a writer. I would never go in there and just freestyle. Writing has always been a part of me. It makes a lot more sense now because it flows so much easier if I write it down. I can write it down way easier than I speak it out. It's a thing that's been pretty much natural my whole life. It comes from the music. We have these dreams and we have these aspirations, and sometimes it doesn't go the way we expect. I guess my inspiration from that is, instead of getting down on yourself, think about another way that it might be able to be used. Because if I didn't think about that, I probably would have never wrote the book. I would have just said music is a thing of the past, Instead, I used what I learned from that and applied it to writing the actual book. And I think that's what makes it real magic.
Yeah, I really appreciate that perspective, Juan. So obviously, we don't want to give the book away. We want people to get the book. We want people to read the book.
Absolutely.
I'm curious, is there one story in particular from the book that you haven't shared publicly that you'd be willing to talk about in detail, maybe a story to give people taste of what's unraveling in the book?
I'll tell you this. This is one of the things that I pushed big into promotion, and it was that you cannot get a new life until your old life is gone.
Ooh, that's a quotable right there.
And in the book, I go into this space in life where I realized that. And I think that was one of the most powerful moments of the book, because in that space to really create change. Once you understand that, if you stay the same, you're going nowhere or you're going in circles. So that's probably my favorite part of the book, understanding that. Not only has you reading my story, but it opens that space for you to start on your journey. After every chapter, expect self-reflective questions and ask yourself, all right, what do I do next? It kind of puts you in a space where you got to do the work if you read the book. Because it's not like I say, it's actually good that I'm having this. This is the first time that I'm actually speaking about the book and giving real insight. I think a lot of people like to take, and because of that, I don't think they understand how much I'm actually giving in this book. It's less about me and more about the reader. Understanding that now, I didn't really make that effort to push that. And I feel like that's what I could have done better. But that's why I'm glad that we're having this discussion now. It's important for them to understand that, like I say, after every chapter, there's self-reflective questions. If I didn't tell you that, you'll read the book and see that and be like, wow, he's giving me something to work on myself. And I feel like if you knew that ahead of time, you'll be more interested in taking a look.
Yeah, I mean, just from what you're saying, it sounds like this book isn't theory. Like there's practical steps that people can take to really
Absolutely.
start to transform, to make a difference. That's
100%.
powerful.
So essentially is this, you say, and this is something I started looking at myself, because like I say, it didn't stop when I wrote it and published it. It didn't stop there, because I found myself in a time where I actually had to read back on it myself. And at that moment, that's when I realized different ways that you can take this, right? How I turn my pain into purpose is not about me having my pain and then creating purpose for myself. No, it's that I took my pain and realized that the purpose was to help others. So that's the thing, the point that I really press get readers to understand, right? Is that turning my pain to understanding led to the purpose of helping you. And then from you reading it, you'll find your purpose to help someone else. And in whatever way that is, through these self-reflective stages.
Yeah, I mean, you unpacked a lot there. And I'm always curious, with a book in general, we never really know what the ripple effect is going to be until it's out there, until people have a chance to experience it. I'm just curious, what conversations has the book started for you that you didn't expect? Have you gotten into any different rooms that people approached you? What has the book done since you've put it out there?
Like I said, I feel like initially I didn't promote in a way that I felt like I should. Right? What I mean by that is how we're having this conversation now, getting more in depth about a good amount of readers have left reviews, and it made me realize it's doing exactly what I expected. One person actually said that it's not only helping them in the stage of turning their pain into purpose, but it actually gave them motivation to finish a book that they was working on themselves. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And once I read that, I was like, oh man, it's going deep, and that's what I wanted. I truly feel like after this conversation with you, it'll get deeper. I really feel like the book could get deeper and have people really understand more, and that's what'll create that ripple effect.
Yeah. Definitely resonates. I'm always curious. I feel like any kind of creative process, there's sort of this birthing. And I'm just wondering for you, what part of yourself do you feel has changed the most or grown the most since you've gotten this book out in the world and published it? What has shifted in you?
Just feeling free. Feel like it was a lot of things that I've held in for a long time. And within the last year, I've really been dialing in on finding actual purpose. because I know that the pain wasn't for nothing. It changed me a lot. Seeing the response that I already have from it is really showing me that this is really touching people. That was the main goal. It's actually giving me a better foundation for Believe by Battle, my brand. It's a motivational brand. We carry clothes, books, tools to keep you in faith, tools to keep you going. And this book is a part of that, right? Initially, when I started Believe by Battle, I just had an idea of pushing faith and motivation through. Once I wrote this book, it really gave Believe by Battle purpose, like real purpose. It transformed not only me personally, but me professionally. Everything that I do bounced right off this book. It's definitely done a huge amount of change, both personally and professionally.
You know, you mentioned earlier, before you released the book, there was a part of you that was hesitant. You weren't necessarily sure if you wanted to put yourself out there in that way, but you did, and it sounds like it's paying off. I'm curious, who was the first person you actually, and why that person?
My kid's mom, my youngest son's mom. And I feel like that's been my partner since my youngest son was conceived 6 years ago. She's been there for a time where I faced a lot of different changes. She's actually a part of the book. That was the first person that read it because, like I said, man, she's seen it firsthand. It's one thing to explain to someone what you have gone through in this time period, but it's another feeling, man, when someone has been there and seen it. So she was the first one that took a look at it. Definitely.
Do you feel like with her reading it, were you nervous?
Not at all. Like I said, man, that has grown to be one of the people that I trust the most. A big part of the reason why she was the first one is because she accepts constructive criticism. And I knew she wouldn't hold back. And so that's why she was the first person to read it.
I can't say enough how important it is to have some support, even if it's just one person. It really does make a difference. It sounds like you two have been with each other for a while, and that's really powerful. We're kind of getting to the tail end, but I'm always curious. Let's say someone pops into the podcast and they start hearing you talk. Maybe they feel stuck right now. You know, maybe they have a story. They don't know where to start. What would you tell them? What would you suggest?
This is where my pain turned to purpose because I've been there. I would tell them, don't wait. Don't wait for perfect timing. Don't wait for perfect circumstances. I'll tell them your story, it doesn't need to be polished, right? To be powerful. So just start writing. Whatever it is that you do, start writing, start speaking, start sharing. Because the one thing I've learned through this process is that someone needs that story now. I don't think a lot of people really understand this, and this is the point that I'm really trying to push, right? Is that if you've been through any type of pain, that pain was there to help someone, period.
Yeah, 100%. And, you know, I don't think it's necessarily based on any particular faith, but I'm
Absolutely.
curious, like, where does that come from? Like, have you always had that awareness?
Always. And I'm not even one that has been to, yeah, I grew up in church here and there. But again, like I said, man, I've been incarcerated. I made a lot of mistakes. But the one thing that I've never lost is that knowledge and seeing bigger than what's on the surface. I've always had that sense that it was deeper than the surface.
That definitely resonates. I think there's a lot of people out there who may have better opportunities, but if you can't see beyond what's in front of you, if you don't have that vision, if you don't have the imagination, I just feel like we can get stuck in our heads and not take the chances necessary for us to truly grow and live our purpose and touch the people that we're here to touch. It sounds like you had to really take a leap of faith in a lot of different ways. You're now the CEO of your own brand. You wrote a book. It sounds like things are moving in the right direction. Okay, so obviously you want the reader to have their own experience, but if there's one message from your book, what do you hope that is for the reader and why?
It's so many, but one that an actual reader said it, and it stuck out to them. I feel like it'll stick out to a lot of people, and it is that purpose doesn't come from comfort. Purpose comes from climbing out of the places that people expected you to die in. I think that's the biggest thing to learn. It tells you that pain that you feel is where the purpose will ultimately come from. So don't run from it. Do not run from that pain. Instead, use it to create that purpose.
I mean, we could end it there, but I do have a couple more questions for you. So what's next for Juan? I know the book is out, the clothing line's gone, but what's the next 3-5 years? What's the vision for the brand?
And the vision for the brand is huge. We also have an initiative to talk. We have a space that's used as a hotline for someone that needs to talk. One thing I never was too big on was counseling and talking to people that actually had that license. I always felt like that license was something you just studied for. So we have a faith-based initiative where if you need someone to talk to, all you got to do is visit the site, write us, and we'll talk to you. We'll hear you, whatever you need. And moving forward, I see us having storefronts where that'll be the safe space. You're allowed to come here and talk. You don't have to have money. It's not going to cost you to come in and have a conversation with someone if that'll stop you from doing anything that could jeopardize your life or your freedom. Another thing is creating a space for people that need second chances. A lot of the things that I plan to do with the brand is all based on that pain I felt. I'm looking to find ways to help others going through or have gone through that same pain. That's how I'm carrying it. And whatever comes about from that, so be it. But the main goal, like I say, will forever be to turn that pain into purpose in every way possible.
That's powerful. I'm really grateful that we had a chance to connect. For people who want to keep up with what you're doing and follow the vision, what's the best way for people to find you, plug in?
believebybattle.com. That's www.believebybattle.com. And like I said, if you just need someone to talk to, you need someone to hear you out. We aren't licensed professionals, but we are real human beings that go through real problems, and we will love to hear you out and talk to you, and it costs absolutely nothing.
That's powerful. And they can just go to the website, or is there a phone number?
Go to the website, believebybattle.com. The section is taking the initiative. You go to believebybattle.com/taking the initiative. Everything you need will be directly on the site. That's pretty much how everything will be moving forward. If you need someone to talk to, website, anything you need, believebybattle.com. We'll take care of you.
That's really powerful, Juan. It actually happens to be a Suicide Awareness Month, depending on when people listen to this, but it's September. I just feel like what you all are doing is really powerful. And it's my hope that people who are listening to this will check it out and tap in. Sounds like you all are doing some great work.
100%.
Any final thought, anything else you want to leave with the listener?
Just stay focused, stay focused and understand that you're not alone. You're not alone, and if you need anyone, we're here. I'm also going to be sending you a copy of the book for yourself. You enjoy it. I really do. And again, I appreciate you having me, man. It's been good talking to you, and I'm glad I was able to get everything off my chest.
Thanks for listening to the Resilient Author Podcast. I hope today's conversation reminded you that every book begins with resilience, and your story matters more than you know. If you enjoyed this episode, please share it with a friend or leave a quick review. It really helps us reach more authors on this journey. If you're ready to take the next step in your own book journey, you'll find resources and ways to connect with me at voice2book.co. Until next time, keep going, keep creating, and keep telling your story.